Welcome into the first must-start running back video of the entire 2025-2026 season, joined by Alec. As always, Alec, we just released the wide receivers yesterday. So make sure if you guys have not tuned into that, make sure to go check that one out because we have four must-start wide receivers that you definitely need to have in your lineup this week. But we have four running backs today. Really quickly before we hop into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're currently running a giveaway for a free signed NFL jersey. It's from a big name player. I think you guys are going to like it. The player will be announced at 500 subscribers and given away at 1,000 subscribers. The only criteria is to hit the subscribe button. So it's free. It's easy. It'll take you 2 seconds, and you have a chance to win a signed NFL jersey that you can hang up in your room or frame it and have like this Hutchinson one right back here. But other than that, we'll go ahead and hop right into it. Alec, who is your first running back, your first must-start running back for the 2025 season?
Yeah, so my first guy, it's going to be Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard has a really good chance for the first 4 weeks, but especially week one,
Mhm.
to be this team's bell cow. I know they're playing against Denver, which is going to be a tough game, I think, for this offense in general. But Cam Ward's first start, you're thinking he's going to have at least 3, 4, 5 checkdowns to Tony Pollard. If you're playing in a full PPR league with the yards, you're probably thinking that's at least 7, 8 points right there.
Mhm.
So I think Tony Pollard has a great chance this week as like a flex or your RB2, something like that, where his opportunity is going to be there. And Tajay Spears is on IR, so their backup running backs is a kind of a hodgepodge of fringe roster practice squad guys.
Mhm.
So I really really like Tony Pollard to kind of assume what we've talked about all offseason, like that Chase Brown snap share, or what you're kind of chasing from the snap share standpoint. He's going to be on the field, so he's going to have chances to kind of have PPR points.
Yep. No, I mean, I completely agree. The other thing I think here that you're getting with Pollard is a significantly, and when I say significantly, I mean significantly improved offensive line that he's running behind. This is not the Titans' offensive line from last year. So I think that actually means a lot more than what people realize. I mean, you're bringing over Zeitler from the Lions. We all know the rushing attack the Lions had last year, right? So, I mean, I think that's going to help a lot. But no, Pollard in games without Tyjae Spears last year, I believe he averaged like 116 yards from scrimmage. So this is a guy who I believe is projected like 13 points right now in PPR. He projected like 13 points in PPR. If you're averaging 116 scrimmage yards with a worse offensive line, even say you just do that again this year, you just need 2 catches, which is going to happen, right? And so I think realistically, Pollard setup where his floor is his projection, I think, this week. If you throw in a touchdown in there at all, if you throw in maybe a big long run or anything, I really, really think that there's a chance that he absolutely just smashes his projection this week. So no, I love Pollard as well. And like what you said, until for every week that Spears is on the IR, Pollard should be starting in your lineup. Once Spears comes back, and I think it at least adds a little bit of concern, right? Then you can at least want to test the waters for a week or two, see how it goes. But I think Pollard is going to be a surprisingly good player in fantasy for at least the first 4 weeks here. I think a guy that's going to be a very surprisingly good player in fantasy this year is going to be DeAndre Swift. And so week one matchup here against Minnesota, I think he's a must start for me. And I think this one, it might be a little bit confusing for some people because Minnesota had a top 3 rushing defense last year when it came to yards given up. But I think when you look at what Ben Johnson did last year with the Lions rushing attack. Jahmyr Gibbs in 2 games against Minnesota averaged, and yes, this is true because you can fact check me in PPR, 39 points per game in those 2 games. David Montgomery did not play in the first one or the second one. He did play in the first one. So that's not counting David Montgomery's points. That is just Jahmyr Gibbs. DeAndre Swift is not Jahmyr Gibbs, but this offensive line, I think, is almost comparable to what the Lions offensive line was last year, and you have the same play caller. So I think Swift is in a spot here where he's the clear RB1. There's going to be an RB2 at some point that emerges throughout the season, but they haven't emerged yet. Swift is going to have probably 4 or 5 catches, and he's currently being projected at 12 points. You're giving me 4 or 5 catches for even if it's just 20 yards. That means that the window that you need to play well when it comes to the rushing attack in general, I think is much smaller. I think Swift, if the offense is going to be very good, if he gets a touchdown, which I think he has serious touchdown upside, he's going to smash this projection. I see a very clear path for him too to smash the 12.4 point per points projection without scoring a touchdown too, though.
No, yeah, no, I absolutely love him this week, especially when they had their starters in against the Chiefs, and that was, I think it was the second preseason game.
Mhm.
He literally played every single snap with the starters.
Yep.
So kind of just knowing that he's going to get the snap share and the opportunities enough to do something in a Ben Johnson offense, regardless of who they're playing. He has to be a smash start week one.
Yep, and I think that the projections here are going to be, like whatever his projection for week 2 is right now is probably going to increase after his week 1 performance, I think.
Yeah, and like I feel like the offense, the jump that we think he's going to take, that the QB is going to take in that offense, he is probably a smash start until he proves us otherwise.
Correct. Yep,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think it's one of those. I mean, last year in the 2 games against Minnesota, Lions had 12 catches from the running back position, so 6 per game. Until somebody else emerges as going to take snaps away from him, those 6 catches, per game, he's going to have at absolute minimum 5 of them. Like, at minimum 5 of them. So, if not all 6. So, I really like Swift. I like what you said there. Until he proves us wrong, until whoever it is, Roshan Johnson, Kyle Monangai, whoever it is that comes in and says, "Hey, I'm gonna take legitimate snaps away from you," whether it's goal line, whether it's receiving work. I think between those 2 guys, it would probably be goal line. But whatever it is, until we see your fantasy stock start to trend downwards, there's no reason to think it's not going to boom. And that's exactly what I expect to happen. Not even mentioning the fact it's always fun to have somebody going on Monday Night Football, right? That was not one of the reasons here. Don't worry, that was not one of the reasons here. But it is always fun in Week 1 have somebody going on Monday Night Football and to have need 14 points out of them or whatever it is. But I really like DeAndre Swift against Minnesota here.
Yeah, no, another guy I really like this week. It's gonna be Tyrone Tracy. So he's projected 13.8 points this week. I just kind of like Tracy overall as being the RB, early in the season for the Giants. Don't know about later in the season. Going to see how Scatabo actually looks like in game action.
Mhm.
But I think Tyrone Tracy this week has a great opportunity to kind of be that first, second down running back, as well as play some third downs as well, depending on who they want to put in on third down.
Mhm.
But I really liked Tyrone Tracy last year. He played really well once he kind of took over the role from Devin Singletary. I do have him as a smash start this week. I do have him as a must start. I will say he will not be on this list ever again if he fumbles anytime early in the season. That's the main issue with him.
Mhm.
But if he kind of negates those fumbling issues, he will be a smash start again for us, I believe, in the next couple weeks. But he for sure is this week.
Yeah, no, I love that. The other thing is that you're playing against Washington's rushing defense. So I just checked, second worst last year. The only team worst was the Panthers, who this is funny. The difference between the second worst or between worst and second worst was 36 yards per game. The difference between second worst and let's see, and ninth was 36 yards per game. So the
Well,
same difference between worst in Carolina to Washington was the same difference between the second worst in Washington to literally the ninth best rushing defense. If that tells you how bad Carolina's rushing defense was last year,
historically bad.
like
Historically bad.
180 yards a game, like that. Yeah,
That's so
atrocious.
bad.
But
Yeah.
140 yards per game is not good either, and that's what Washington was giving up, right? So Washington also does not have a good rushing defense. I think that's one thing to keep in mind here. Obviously, when you put Tracy torched the Panthers last year, I'd like to think Tracy's going to have a good week 1 this year. Also, now you're mentioning your offense is just improved, right? I mean, the quarterback is, whether you can say, oh, your passing attack is going to be better, which means you're going to be leaned on less. No, if your quarterback's better, your rushing attack is going to be better. That means they can't put 8 guys and play man-to-man coverage. Like,
Yeah, and this isn't college football. It's not like where if your passing offense is great, you're going to throw for those air raids. You're going to throw
mhm,
400 yards a game. Every NFL team runs the ball at least what was like 42% of the time or 43% of the time.
yeah,
It's not like any other level of football where you heavily lean on one option. You
right.
have to run the ball. And if
Mhm,
Russell Wilson's floor now his floor and his potential ceiling might not be as high as like a Jackson Dart in that offense,
mhm.
his floor is going to be much higher. So this
Yes,
offense is actually going to pick up first downs. Therefore, Tyron Trace is actually to get more carries than he did last year.
correct. And have touchdown opportunities, maybe even. But no, I really like Tracy this week as well. Again, early with no Scadaboo with a prominent role, not no Scadaboo with Scadaboo with a very limited role, right? He's earning his snaps yet. I like Tracy a lot. A guy that I like early as well this year is James Conner. And this is another guy that's a little bit he's probably at the peak, the top of the whether they qualify for to be a must start or not, right? I mean, you're getting to the point where maybe obviously it's a must start. I spent a 5th round pick on him, right? So maybe if you got him in the 6th or whatever, or if you have heavy RBs, I think James Conner this week sets up perfectly well for him to blow up. You're playing against a defense in New Orleans Saints rushing defense who was awful last year. He gave up 140 rushing yards per game. That's 3rd worst in the NFL. We talked about Washington's. New Orleans was right there with them. I also think that I feel very, very strongly that there's going to be a positive game script here. This will be a game in which Arizona is winning, and in the 3rd and 4th quarter, they're going to just pound the rock because it works and because it keeps the clock moving, right? So I think in week 1, I understand James Conner's old, but in week 1, when you're maximum healthy, or when your health is the absolute maximum it's going to be all year, and your load is probably also the maximum it's going to be all year, this is a week which I would smash start Josh or James Conner because you just don't have necessarily the risk yet. Obviously, that comes a little bit later in the season, and you also have a matchup here that is just setting up to have 18, 19, 20 carries and average 5-6 yards a carry.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love James Conner this week. Exactly what you said. Him and Kamara are kind of similar, where it's like early in the season they should smash. So
Mhm.
they'll probably be on our list a couple times if they qualify technically.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think James Conner is going to be fantastic this week. I think that Trey Benson's going to have a role maybe later in the season, but I think early, it's not going to be the 1A, 1B that they're selling us. I think it's just
Correct.
going to be James Conner.
Right. It'll be a 1A with 1C maybe. But yeah, it is not going to be a truly, I mean, it might be a 70-30 split, but even in a game like this against the Saints, I feel very confident you're going to run the ball between 25 and 30 times. And if you're giving me 70% of that, yes, please. I will take 16 or 17 carries at least for James Conner against an atrocious rushing defense. Yeah, I will absolutely take that. I also think that there's just so much upside for, they're going to score probably 3 or 4 at least touchdowns in this game. James Conner is probably, especially when you look at the Vegas odds, probably the favorite to score a touchdown in that game. So, when you see some correlation between those two there, you would expect him to play well. But those are our 4 guys here for running backs. I mean, I think these are all guys that are in really good situations this week. I think Swift is the worst situation, but he's in a spot where I think he's got other things going for him and significantly improved offensive line. Obviously, the receiving work there as well. So I think there's these are 4 running backs I would expect to go at least 3 for 4 of these guys outperforming their projections here, Alec. And if we don't, we're giving away. No, I'm just kidding. But I would expect to go at least 3 or 4. Last year, we were always in that we did 6 guys every week. We were always in that 4 or 5 out of 6. Never could go 6 for 6. So can we go 4 for 4 here, Alec, to kick off the season? I've got a pretty good feeling about it. But make sure to hit that subscribe button real quick too to end this. If you want a chance to win a free NFL signed jersey. But other than that, Alec, this has been the Sports Geeks Podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.